the tacky sticky stuff, especially like with your bikini line, like that's going to stick to everything.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, if I put on some fuzzy pajama pants, I'm just going to come out of them like a Sasquatch.
You might as well be called the Bush Queen.
It's going to be the reverse of what I'm trying to do here. So anyways, it was rough. And I was just trying to save my body from some razor burn.
You poor thing.
But exfoliation gone wrong, guys.
Hey there. Welcome to Parties to Playdates. I'm Kendall.
And I'm Jess. We're here to fill your day with warmth and laughter.
Join us as we navigate the chaos and joy of everyday life.
We're all about sharing real-life moments with a dash of humor and practical tips.
So grab your coffee and settle in for a cozy chat.
Because here, every moment is a story worth sharing.
No topic is off limit.
And every listener is a friend.
Let's get this party started. Hello.
Salve.
I knew you were going to say something in Italian. I was like, come on, give it to me, girl.
That's what happens when I do my Italian lessons on the way over the bridge.
I think it's great.
Some days I wake up and I'm like ready to speak some Italian.
You should just start speaking Italian right off the bat.
And other days I'm like, I don't know if I can do it.
You can.
And it feels overwhelming. This weekend, the sun was out and it was beautiful outside. And I'm like, I'm going to lay out and I'm going to get a tan and I'm going to work on my Italian. So I just laid in the backyard with my eyes closed, repeating all the stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, if my neighbors could hear me now.
Oh, and then just wait, like when you come back from Italy, just wait. I'll be fluent.
I know. I'm going to be saying
and probably topless.
all of the things. I'm going to be so tan and so fluent and all the things.
That sounds like a dream day.
Yeah, it was really nice.
That sounds lovely because it was really pretty this weekend. We went to the beach yesterday. Yeah. I forced Ryan to go.
Oh, I love it. How was the water? Did you guys get in?
It was cold.
Yeah.
It was so cold. But yes, we got in because Maverick was all up in it.
Kids don't even care.
No,
man.
he isn't. But he was like shivering. He was like, but he was like, ah.
My kids will literally have like blue lips, bright red skin, and I'll be like, "Did you want to get out there?" No, I'm having such a great time.
Yeah, no.
I feel like if you're still moving and you're happy, everything's okay.
That's what we said. And there was all these other babies that were like either younger or his age, all in the water, and
oh my gosh,
no one's getting sick. I don't think. So
I love it.
Yeah,
you're just enjoying nature.
It was so nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What beach did you guys go to?
We went to Grayton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We had lunch and then we walked down, which was lovely. And then, we didn't stay very long, but we stayed like 45 minutes.
That's kind of perfect.
It was perfect.
Just enough.
Yeah. It was nice.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So what's going on in your world?
Well, usually I tell stories about other people, but this week I have a story about myself.
Air your dirty laundry, girl.
So I was telling my sister about this anti-razor rash balm. It's called Bush Balm. Shout out to the Bush Balm people, which is a hilarious name. But it really helps with razor rash, for your bikini line and stuff. So I've used it a ton. And I was telling my sister about it and I sent her a link. But when I sent it to her, I realized that they have a package where they have a scrub and then the balm stuff it's an oil basically. I think it's just a lot of essential oils. It's really good. And so I was like, oh my gosh, they have a scrub. I'm like, that's great. Maybe I'll have to get that next time. Well, then I was rummaging around in my drawer for something else and I realized that I already had it and it must have come with the first one I purchased. I totally forgot about it. It's probably been in there for 2 years. So I pulled it out. I was like, oh, I'm totally going to use this. So the next time I took a shower, I grabbed it and I'm in the shower and I get out the scrub and I am just scrubbing down all the areas that are normally prone to razor burn, which is my bikini line. And then for some reason, my shins will get really weird this time of year.
Sometimes mine do too.
So I just pretty much did my bikini line, my shins, kind of a little my inner thighs. And then it felt really nice. And then I rinsed it. And when I rinsed it, it was really an interesting texture.
Oh, no.
It almost felt like a mix between wax and glue I had just put on my body.
Oh, it was sticky.
It was water resistant, but also a tacky texture to it. And I was like, oh, maybe I didn't scrub it off enough. So then I scrub it some more. And there's this weird film on my hands and the water's just beating up on my hands. But then it's kind of tacky. And the same thing with my thighs.
So everything's sticking together.
Everything is sticking together. And I was like, oh no. So I used a different scrub to scrub off
Oh
the
my God,
scrub.
Jess, your poor body.
I know. And then I used just a body wash. I was using all of the things and it was still not okay. So I got out of the shower and I was like, I don't know what to do. So then I got I think I got like a wash rag. I had some like Dawn dish soap in my bathroom.
Dawn dish soap does everything, right?
Dawn dish soaped it. Still tacky.
Is it supposed to be that way?
I don't think so. I think it was just old. I think something went wrong. I'm going to have to call them and ask them for help.
You're like, this is what
I'm
happened.
like, listen, this is really bad. So then that didn't work. So then I like slather my legs in coconut oil because I was like, coconut oil fixes everything.
It does.
And that helped a little bit, but it was weird because like for a minute it would feel like it was done, but the second it would dry, it would go back to that weird tacky whatever. So I'm pretty sure I used dish soap, coconut oil, micellar water, like all of the things, and I got it to an okay place, but it was still slightly tacky and a really weird texture. Now I will be honest, I have zero razor
That was my
rash.
question.
I have zero razor rash. But even when I was shaving, I feel like it gunked up my razor.
The razor, yeah. And
So
then you have
I
to
don't
use
know.
like 14 blades.
I don't know what happened, but I can't have tacky thighs. Like my
Well,
thighs
no.
touch when I walk. Like I'm gonna be like,
And then it's like stick.
I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna rip the skin of my thighs off
Oh
if
my
I don't fix
God.
this. So it literally took a couple days to kind of just wear off. But
still, like clothes,
needless
like
to say,
touching it, and
I'm
like
sending an email and I'm throwing that one away.
100% send an email and be like, yo, the tacky, sticky stuff, especially like with your bikini line, like
Yeah.
that's gonna stick to everything.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, if I put on some fuzzy pajama pants, I'm just going to come out of them like a Sasquatch.
You
It's
might as
gonna
well be called
like,
the Bush Queen.
it's going to be the reverse of what I'm trying to do here. So, anyways, it was rough. And I was just trying to save my body from some razor burn.
You poor thing.
But exfoliation gone wrong, guys.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's so funny because last night I jumped into the bathtub and I was going to exfoliate my whole body because I had this amazing Himalayan salt sugar scrub. And it was just way too nice of a hot bath. And I literally laid there for 30 minutes. And Ryan messaged me, he's like, are you alive? And I was like, yes.
You're
I'm
like,
just
that's
not
when you know
moving.
it's good,
Yeah.
when you don't come out.
Yeah, literally, because he's like, are you okay? He's never really messaged me unless I'm in there like crying, the lights are off, there's music playing. But it was nothing. I was just laying there just really enjoying my hot bath. And I had the scrub next to me. Never used it. I was like, I'm done.
Well, it's kind of some effort. Like
It
it
is
takes
effort.
work. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give myself a pedicure and I'm gonna do all these things, and then I lay there and I'm like,
No,
I think I'm just gonna go to bed after this.
I did. I got up. I said, love you. He goes, you're going to bed at 8:30. I go, yeah. Good night. But I was like so relaxed. And honestly, also another reason that deterred me from not scrubbing my whole body was I filled up the bath way too high.
Oh, no.
So literally, I'm not kidding you.
You couldn't move.
I could not move. Like the top of the tub was like this. And I'm not joking. The water was right here.
Do
and
you
I was like,
have
don't
a
even
little
move.
thing that like lets water out?
It's
if
supposed
too
to, but I
full?
don't think ours is either not broken or clogged or I don't know.
no.
But yeah, it was high. And I was like, oops, this is nice. Because like, the water only really goes to like my boobs. But this time it was like up
that's
here. It
awesome.
was lovely. Well, I guess speaking of bushes, I guess we could go down the road of what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, there's definitely some bushes involved.
We've got 5 babies to talk about today.
We do.
That's a lot.
We do.
Thank you for holding up the end.
You're welcome. I got you. Today we're talking about
Birth stories.
Oh, how sweet. How wonderful.
Get
How
in our
terrifying.
I know. No, they're
How
they're all
scary.
so beautiful in their own
They
little
are.
ways. I don't think you've had a terrifying birth story, have you? So like no
No.
craziness coming up.
No, nothing too crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
there
there
are
are
some ups and
I'm
downs.
like, yeah, they are something, but I don't think anything like super traumatizing that we need to warn
Yeah.
people. Mine's
Yeah,
not
no.
either.
No, the warning, we're going to talk about some things.
Yeah, warning, we're talking about probably private parts.
It's about to get real, people.
and graphic. So buckle up, buttercup. Do
I love it.
you want to start first since you have more to talk about?
Yes, I have so many to talk about. Yeah, so I'll talk about my first birth was in 2006. which that sounds like so long ago.
Almost 20 years, girlfriend.
It's been a while.
Holy crap.
So my first birth, my husband was in the military, still in the Army, and the Army hospital there's offered midwife. So you could go with a midwife or you could go with an OB, which they're all kind of like supervised and this and that. Some of them are both. So I had a midwife, which was really cool, but I would just go into the hospital for my checkups and things like that. I had a really good pregnancy. I felt great. I enjoyed all that. But when it came time for the birth, it was late at night and I had been having contractions and stuff, but you know, they're so like inconsistent at the beginning, it seems like, especially with your first baby. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you're like, the baby's coming
like
now.
Anything, you're like, oh, is it now? Is it now? But so I had actually, my water had kind of like broke a little bit before we went in. It's not like it's in the movies where it like splashes on
like a gush of water.
Splashes on the floor. The movies like that always crack me up where I'm like, maybe that happens for some people, but I feel like most people, it's just like a trickle of like, oh, did I pee my pants again? You know? So I was having pretty consistent contractions and we're like, oh my gosh, this is it. And so we went to the hospital and they were like, oh, well, you're like 5 centimeters, blah, blah, blah. And my friend who had had 4 or 5 kids at this point had told me, if you decide to go to the hospital, eat something before you go, because once you get there, they won't feed you until you have the baby. They don't like you to eat. So we got there and they're like, oh, you're only 5 centimeters, blah, 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 whatever, a face. And they're like, well, we'll just keep you here. And we were like, oh, no, we're good.
I'm fine.
I'm like, we'll go. And they're like, well, we would advise against that. And I'm like, well, I would like to leave. And they're like, well, you're going to have to sign this paper. And I was like,
sign away.
Sign me up. Because I'm like, I'm going to go eat a steak or something.
And I'll be right back.
I know I need some food. So so we left and I got a bunch of food or something. I just smashed some food.
Yeah.
And then
you walked right back in.
we were gone for like hours.
Oh, good for you, girl.
We were gone for that was, I think, in the morning time. And I don't think we came back till like later that evening, like 8 o'clock that night or whatever. And I was like, things were really consistent. I'm like, oh, here it comes. And then we got to the hospital and everything slowed down. But this is a really funny, slightly graphic story.
Bring it.
This shows so much of who I am as a person. Like, I'm the biggest people pleaser, don't want to inconvenience people, don't want to ask people questions kind of thing. But I remember we were in the hospital. It was kind of like an emergency room scenario. The areas were just separated by curtains. Okay. So there's just patients and curtains and whatever. And we're our own little space. They're monitoring me. They're coming in and out, but not a ton. But I had to pee so bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to pee so bad. But I was just waiting. And I was kind of just like, waiting for them to come in because I think things were connected. I didn't want to take stuff out. I was like, oh, I don't want to break the rules.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, Andrew, I'm going to pee like right now. And he was like, okay. And he grabbed one of those little pads, those that they put down, like that you put down for like puppies or whatever.
Like a puppy pad.
Like a puppy pad.
Yes.
He grabbed one and he like threw it on the floor. And I literally squatted down in that little room area and just like peed like a little puppy on the floor. And I was like, why did I ask somebody to go to the bathroom?
Oh
and
my
I think
God.
It's because I'm pretty sure they already had an IV and then the monitor and nobody was there. And I didn't want it to be like an emergency.
Like, don't leave what you're doing to come to it.
I'm okay. And they were busy. There was other women having babies that night. It wasn't just me. And so it was so embarrassing. But then looking back, I'm like, what does the matter with me? Wasn't I like, hey, I gotta pee, guys. Like,
I'm about to pee the floor.
Somebody unhook this, or like, let's roll out. Like, it was so silly. And Andrew so nicely just rolled it up
in the trash can. Let's go, babe. Hit the road.
He was so supportive. Like, he wasn't like, oh my God, what are you doing? He totally took care of me. So anyways, we eventually got moved to a birthing room and it was rough. Like, it was just a very long time. Like, I think we got there at 8 o'clock at night. And by the time I got to like the pushing phases, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. It was early. And the birth was good. I remember Andrew's face, like when the baby came out, he was kind of like,
I'm sure it's like a interesting.
And he told me later it was because like when her head came out, he said it was like her head was like weirdly compressed. And then the second it came out, it like.
That is so cool.
All those little plates were like overlapped to get through the hole and they like.
You're like, oh, so much better.
Well, I'm glad I didn't see that.
Yeah, that would scare me. But that is so cool.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And I didn't, they're like, do you want the mirror? And I was like, no, thank you. I'm good. Because
I've seen her enough down there. Thank you.
I don't feel like I need to see what's happening. You just tell
feel,
me, like,
yeah.
are we good? But part of me is like, well, I should have watched that. That sounds really interesting. But it was a good birth. I did tear during that birth, which is when things got really not great because the doctor came and was like, oh, we're just going to stitch you up really quick. And so she did the numbing stuff and then just started stitching, but it like didn't work. The numbing stuff. And I was like,
oh, girl.
I was like, that didn't work. And then I just started bawling. Like
Well, yeah.
I was sobbing and she's like, it's just going to be a minute. And she just kept going and did it fast. I was like grabbing my mom and my sister and I was bawling. Andrew's over with the baby, but he's like, what's going on? Is everything okay?
Oh my God.
It was the worst. It was the worst experience. Cause like, hey, I just had a baby and everything, you can feel a lot of things. And it's torn, and then you're just gonna go in there and like.
That's seriously awful.
Yeah, it was really bad. So that was the worst part
Everything
of the whole
was unmedicated?
thing. Yeah, everything was unmedicated. And then once we got through that, I was just like, oh my God, that was traumatic.
Well, everything was just traumatic.
Like, that was traumatic. But the baby was great. She was beautiful. Everything was wonderful. But I remember everybody finally leaves the room. And they brought me a turkey sandwich and Jell-O, and I was ravenous monster. I was like,
bring me another turkey sandwich.
Like, oh my gosh, this is the best turkey sandwich I've ever. It was just like one of those in those little plastic triangle containers
from like 7-Eleven.
It was literally a 7-Eleven turkey sandwich, but I could have eaten 15 of those. I was so exhausted.
You're like ringing the bell. Bring me another turkey sandwich.
The Jell-O, I was like eating a creme brulee from
I love it.
Straight from France. Like it was the most decadent. I mean, like my body was just like, give me food.
Yeah, you have to like make yourself believe that you're somewhere else enjoying the most perfect, delightful dessert.
It was terrible. So anyways, listen, all I can say, I should have eaten more before I went because I was so exhausted. It was the most
hard.
Exhausting long. And then I think the whole traumatic stitch me up situation didn't help anything. And my whole body was just like, somebody feed me right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my one and only hospital birth. It wasn't bad. It was just long. It was long and exhausting. Yeah. And I wish I had more food.
I mean, don't we all? My gosh. I feel like of all people should be feeding pregnant women who are about to go through a marathon to push a child out.
100%. And I know they're like, oh, you don't want to do that because you might poop. I was like,
I'd rather shit my brains out than be starving.
Put a puppy pad down. I will push one. I'll push it all out. Whatever we got to do, people. Like, I'm pretty sure we can clean up whatever mess.
Do you want to see how talented I am right now? I will go poop and have a baby at the same time.
How strong. Like, I feel like my hunger is way stronger than any of things is going to come out of me. So
because everyone knows an angry, hangry mom or a hangry pregnant woman.
Well, yeah. And just that mental, already you're working really hard. And then if you're hungry and tired and exhausted, it's how do they expect pregnant women to push through a 20-hour birth when they haven't eaten for 28 hours or whatever? It's mind-blowing to me. So
it is.
Anyways, pro tip, eat as much as you want before you get there.
So who was there for that birth? Andrew, your mom, and your sister?
Yeah, and then my friend Susie was there also, which was really sweet.
Susie was on the podcast.
She was. You would listen to her. I think that was episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, Susie was there, and I'm pretty sure we had Susie recording, and there is a video somewhere.
Okay, that's so special.
That I don't know if I've ever watched the whole thing, but she did say later, if I'm remembering accurately, she was like, I'd never done that before, and I really didn't know how much you needed to see or wanted to see. And if you think about it, it is very awkward.
So she did it all?
Just recording somebody's vagina.
Oh, yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
just your friend.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a camera. Get in real close.
I'm already vulnerable because my legs are open to anybody who comes in and out of this bedroom. Well, whatever, float your boat. But this hospital room, your legs are just open.
Yeah.
And if your top's off, then you're just butt naked. Yeah. And you're just like, whoever is going to see it's going to see it. Well, now there's a video camera recording it.
Yeah.
And it's your friend. Like your friends, I don't know. Yeah, that would be a lot. But I guess if you want the moment, you got to do it.
Yeah, it was a lot. So thanks, Susie.
Love her.
Shout out, Susie. You're the best.
Can we find that footage?
Maybe it's somewhere. It's somewhere for sure.
Oh, I think that's so special. I watched my birth. My dad recorded, I think, all of ours. And I've definitely seen mine, I think, a few times.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know it's weird, but I think it's so cool.
It's really cool. I know growing up, one of my mom's friends had a video of her birth. And I remember seeing it when I was like, I don't know, probably 7.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh.
Right? Like, that's where babies come from.
It's pretty amazing. It's
is
pretty
so
miraculous. So yeah, that was number 1.
Mm-hmm.
How many do you want me to get through before we do math?
I say you need to do 2.
Do 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So my second birth, which
This is the start of a new era for you. Your second birth.
It is. It's my favorite one.
Really?
Yeah, my second one was my favorite one just because it was just magical. For my second birth, we planned a full-on home birth. So no hospitals. We lived in North Carolina then, so
Were you checking up at hospitals or no?
no. I went to a center where they had like a ultrasound machine for one ultrasound.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everything was fine. I don't know, probably 5 or 6 months in.
Mm-hmm.
But the midwifery laws in North Carolina are a little tricky. I don't want to say they're illegal, but
They're on the border.
they're
of
on like the fringe. So there's not a lot of midwives. So my midwife lived like an hour and a half away from where we were at.
Oh,
so
dang.
I had to drive an hour and a half to go to all of my checkups and things like that. But she was such an amazing woman. She was so confident. Her name was Lisa. She was so empowering, and your body was made to do this. Everything's gonna be fine. She was so encouraging and so helpful, and she had like hundreds of births behind her, and she had a lot of wild stories about difficult situations, difficult births that she had gone through. We interviewed a couple of different midwives, which I would highly recommend because everybody kind of has different personalities, and I feel like that energy and vibe that you get from people plays a lot into how you're going to feel when you're in a very vulnerable state.
Yeah.
So she was really great too, recommending very holistic, all natural, like vitamins and things to take leading up to the birth. But so with that one, the night that I actually went into labor, we were supposed to go to a concert with our friends. We had a couple that lived with us then. And I was like, oh, we're going to go to this concert. It's going to be so good.
How fun.
But I'd been having like some mild contractions here and there for the last couple of days. And I was like, oh, we're going to go. But they were picking up a little bit. So literally at the last like 10 minutes before we were going to leave.
You're
like,
getting ready to go to the concert.
like, we were ready to go. And I was like, well, and Andrew's, I don't know, babe. Maybe we should stay home. And I was like, oh, but I really want to see this concert.
I love it. You're so like me. 'Cause I would do the same thing.
And I was like, oh, I just want to go. And then I was like, fine, I guess we'll stay home. So I was kind of pouty about
and have
it.
a baby.
So we stayed home. The concert, I think they left for the concert at 6 or 7. And I remember me and Andrew were hanging out. I had a birthing ball and I was bouncing on the birthing ball and we were playing cards of some card game or whatever and just like chit-chatting. Andrew had like a little notepad and I'd be like, okay, there's one. And we were tracking them, but they were so mild. Like I could feel them, but I was
Totally fine.
This isn't bad at all. And so I was in a very relaxed state. I was super chill. So they started to progress or whatever. And he called the midwife and was like, hey, this is where they're at right now. And she's like, okay, cool. Let us know when they get a little closer and then we'll head that way. And so
Did she have a team or was it just her?
it was her. And then she had a doula that was training to be a midwife.
Got you. So she
I can't remember her name, but she had the best arms.
Really?
She had
Side note.
these chiseled like yoga fitness arms. And she literally said she didn't do anything to get them.
Of course she didn't.
Like she had just amazing genetics, but they were just gorgeous.
Shoulder
Just
balls to
the curved shoulders and the bicep. Everything was the way that muscular arms I feel should look. That was her. I would always be like, oh my gosh, her arms look amazing. I was always commenting on her arms. And
She's
was
like, I
always
love coming to Jess's
she was
house.
like, my whole family has these arms. Da, da, da. She was so sweet. So yeah, it was the two of them. So she's like, oh, give us a minute, let us know when they get a little bit closer. So things got closer. When they really started to pick up, we had one of our friends come and pick up my oldest.
The time, how old was she?
So she was about 1.5. So this
Okay.
was 2008. So she was born August 2006, and then my second was February 2008.
Got it.
So about a year and a half. So she went to go with my friend, and then things really started to pick up, and we had planned a water birth. The midwife had brought over an inflatable hot tub thing. And so when things started to progress, I was like, yeah, Andrew, why don't you fill up the tub? And once it gets filled up, maybe I'll get in there. And so he started filling up the tub, and I was hanging out in the bathroom, like leaning up against the tub and just relaxing or whatever. But they really started to progress, and he had called the midwife, and so she was on her way. And he was filling up the tub, and then that time my water broke, and it was a little more aggressive. I was like, oh, shoot.
Something just happened.
I was like, hey, babe, I think my water broke. And he was like, okay. He's like, well, do you want to get in the tub? And I was like, yeah, this is kind of uncomfortable. So the tub was probably only halfway filled up. And it was to the point where we were like out of hot water.
Oh, God.
So we had used all the hot water. So at that point, Andrew was running back and forth with like pots of like boiling water from the stove, and then like mixing in cold water. Like he was monitoring the temperature, not scalding me, but he was filling it up. So he's literally just sprinting back and forth from the stove. The whole
I can only picture
there's
what's
just
happening
4
in the house.
pots on the stove, and he was
He's
back
like-
and forth with the water, with the hose, like all the things.
Oh my God, love
and I'm in
him.
the tub, leaned up against
Hurting.
the edge, just having a baby, just doing fine. But the water was so nice. Like the second I got in, it's like that weight from the buoyancy of the water
belly,
kind
like,
of like
lifted.
it lifts that weight off, and then the
That's so
warmth of
nice.
water relaxes all those muscles that are just straining and trying so hard. So that was really nice. It was still, you could still feel things, guys.
Yeah.
But it was so relaxed. And so I was just working through it. We had candles, we had music. It was so quiet. It was just me and Andrew. Nobody else was there. And then I had this one contraction that I swear I could feel like everything just moved.
Like drop?
Like so hard, so far.
Oh,
there was
that's
just
so
a
cool.
full, like you could feel the body of the baby just moving through your body. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was a lot.
At this point, did you know you were having a girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we knew with all of our babies what we were having.
I didn't know that actually. But
Yeah.
go on.
So I felt this really big movement, and then I reached down to assess the situation.
100%.
Because I don't.
And there's no one else there looking.
And there's
so
no
you
one
gotta
else
do it.
looking, and
Yeah.
Andrew's busy. And so I felt a big movement, and
Andrew's
I'm like, well,
busy.
let me just make sure like the head's not out or something. I don't know. I didn't think the head was out. But so I reached down, and you could feel hair. Like,
And it's not yours.
you could feel like
Yeah.
soft,
Oh.
like, and it was like 2 or 3 inches long, this soft hair, and you could feel like the top of her head. And I was like, you know, there's a lot happening down there. I don't think this is me.
Yeah. I don't feel that.
I don't, but you
Yeah.
don't know. So I like was like, hey babe, could you just come and take a look at what's going on down here? Because I think she's right here, but could you come look? And so he's on the Bluetooth.
I'm literally picturing, could we just stop? I'm
Yeah.
picturing Andrew, Bluetooth situation, hose over his shoulder, pots and pans.
Oh, yeah.
Going back and forth, just being, and you're
Yeah.
like, Andrew's busy, but you're having a baby. over
Yeah,
here.
and I'm pretty sure
love him.
I'm pretty sure he was in just like swim shorts, because the plan was for him to get in the tub with me when I actually had the baby. So I'm pretty sure he was just like shirtless, swim shorts, running pots and pans on the Bluetooth. It was like one of those ones that went across your face and it was illuminated.
Like he worked at like a
Yeah.
phone operating place.
Yeah. And the midwife is on the phone, and he's like giving her updates, and she's like, I'm still 45 minutes out.
Oh my
kind of
gosh,
thing.
yeah.
And he's on the phone with her, and he's like, okay, we can see the top of the head. We can see there. And she was like, okay. He's like, okay, why don't you go ahead and get in with her? And then if she feels like she wants to push, you can go ahead and push. And he was like, she can? And she's like, yeah. Like, just let her do it. If she feels like that's what she needs to do, let her do it. And I was feeling pretty good. There was pressure, but it was not as intense as what I remember with my first. It was such a complete different feeling. But I was on my hands and knees pretty much for that birth, which my first one I was like laying down, which if you do any research,
Yeah.
babies have to like
Swoop out.
swoop out when you're laying on your back. But when you're on your hands and knees, they just
Fall.
shoot out.
Gravity. They just
The way they
shoot
were
out.
made to come out.
So on your hands and knees, were you fully in underwater or no?
So the water, yeah, like you're low, like I was like chest down underwater kind of thing. And so he was like, we can see the head. We can see the hair. There's about this many inches, blah, blah, blah. He gives her the update. Okay, let her know. Get in the tub with her. So he's like, okay, babe, I'll be right back. He goes and grabs one more pot of water, throws it in, jumps in with me. And as he gets in, he was like, hey, scoot back so I can get in front of you so I can see. So I was kind of leaning on the edge. And as I pushed off and went into a really deep squat, her head just came out. Like, I didn't push or anything.
That's so nice, Jess.
It just bloop. Yeah. And I was like,
there she
and
is.
He's like, her head's out. And like, he was
I love the whole
like,
Bluetooth thing.
Oh my God. Like, he was like the commentator on
know,
like the
I love
sports
it.
station. He was like, no. He's like, the head's out. And what's crazy is she's underwater.
Yeah.
Like, her head's out, she's underwater. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is that it? And I literally did just the most babyest push ever.
That's amazing.
In the rest of her body. And so he caught her. So he caught that one and he slowly guided her out of the water. And it's so crazy because they don't breathe until you take them out of the water. So I've seen some birthing videos where they'll let them hang out under the water before you take them out, which is so wild.
It's interesting, but that's where they're living in you.
Yeah.
The same, but cleaner water, I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He pulls her out, and I remember he had her chest resting on the palm of his hand, and then her face supported on his thumb and fingers. And so she was laying, not really on her belly, but at an angle, almost like in one of those massage chairs was the vibe.
yeah.
And her little arms were dangling forward. And I remember when he pulled her out of the water, she has huge eyes. She still has huge eyes. Our family is made of huge eyes.
Big eyes.
We all have big eyes. I was a big-eyed baby. We all have big-eyed babies. But I remember her coming out of the water and her little arms were hanging and her face was like
So
on
cute.
Andrew's hand. And I remember she looked at me and just did a couple of blinks. What the fuck?
Yeah, what was that?
Like, I was so comfortable in there, and you guys are disturbing my day.
I feel like that's how she is, though, now.
Oh, yeah, totally. And so she blinked a couple times and looked around, and Andrew's like, she's not crying. She's just laying here. Like, still talking to the midwife, but she's looking around. And the midwife's like, it's okay. He's like, just lay her on Jess and wrap her in a hot towel. So we had all these, like, hot towels in the oven that we had prepared. And she's like, lay her on Jess and just stay in the water. Just have Jess get comfortable, lay her on Jess and just skin to skin contact. So he laid her on me and we like wrapped a blanket and she laid on my chest and she goes, and then that's it.
I feel like
Then she just laid there and just looked around.
observing everything.
Just observing, just taking everything. The candles are burning. The nice music is still playing. And me and Andrew are just in this tub looking at each other like, oh my God, we just had a baby.
Yeah.
Just like by ourselves. What the heck?
And she's perfect.
And it was beautiful. It was the most calm, peaceful, the most relaxing. I have never experienced anything like that. And we were just like, well, we did that. And so the cord is still attached. The placenta is still inside my body. And the midwife's, I'll be there in 15 minutes. Just hang out in the water. We'll take care of everything when we get there. The midwife got there. She got me out of the tub. And then I delivered the placenta on my bed with puppy pads down, obviously. And she just took the placenta and set it in a bowl that I still have. That you may have eaten a salad out of.
Oh, I was saying you still have your placenta? I wasn't thinking about the bowl.
I still have my placenta bowl. I did have the placenta for a minute, but that's another story.
So funny.
So she set it in a bowl because if you leave the placenta attached, like the baby is still like pulling nutrients out of it. And the longer you let it
do that,
the faster their belly button heals and their little thing falls off. So the placenta was sitting in this bowl and we were like, oh my gosh, this is the craziest thing. And it was beautiful because they just came and they took care of everything and they cleaned everything up and they tore down the tub and
oh my gosh, that's so
everything
nice.
was beautiful. And then it was probably like 30 minutes after I had the baby and the midwife had got there that our friends came home from the concert.
Oh my God. I forgot about the Friends concert.
And they were like, we're like, oh my gosh, we had the baby. And they're like, oh my God, they're so excited. And Susie was there, wasn't the one that lived with me, but she was with our friends that lived with us. And so they're like, oh my gosh, can we come in and see the baby? I was like, absolutely. I am high on life. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I just had a baby by myself.
Yeah, in my home.
Look at me. I've got my baby. I've got my placenta. Look, I'm so cool. You know, like I'm feeling the best. Like I am high, literally.
As you should be.
And so they're like, can we come in? And we're like, yeah, come on in. And my midwife goes, do you want me to cover the placenta? I was like, nah, it's fine.
Yes.
And I don't know if anybody's ever seen a placenta, but it is gruesome.
Yeah.
It is like veiny and
Oh, God.
meaty
Oh, God.
and like bloody. It is aggressively gruesome.
And it's not small.
It's not. It's like
The size of a baby.
yeah, it's like the size of a baby. It's freaking huge. And so they come in and they're like, oh, I'm holding her. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Look at her. And they have these like such happy looks on their faces. And then I remember seeing their eyes kind of drift. And then their faces were like, like something took over them. And I was just like, it's so wonderful.
Did anybody say anything?
No. And they were like, well, we're going to head out. Thank you so much for letting us say hi to her. She's beautiful. Congratulations. And they just like rush out. Later, I find out that their eyes had drifted over to the placenta bowl. And they had never seen that, even though both of them had babies. But most people who have babies in hospitals don't see placentas. They don't aren't like, hey, guys, check it out. So needless to say, they were like, oh my God.
Just hanging out in bed with my placenta attached.
So they
Don't
did
worry
tell
about
me
it.
later that they were super freaked out by the placenta bowl.
Oh my God.
And they were just like, we didn't know what was going on. And we're just like, oh my God, what is that? And why is it there? Like, it was so funny. So yes, they got to see the baby and the placenta.
Lucky them.
Lucky them.
They
But
got a
yeah,
twofer.
that one was
That does
beautiful.
sound
That
so
one was my
magical.
favorite. It was it was just so peaceful and beautiful. And honestly, I always tell people are like, oh, I want everybody there. I want all the things. And honestly, I always tell people, have the least amount of people possible. I know a lot of people want to share like this experience with their mom or their sister or their grandma or whatever. But I'm always like, don't do it. Like, it is so much easier just to focus on yourself and to not be worried about, I don't know. I feel like the more people you have, the more your brain is distracted. Even if you love those people and you care about them, I would always 100% do it alone if you can. Like, get everybody out of here. Like the least amount of doctors, nurses, whatever it might be. Because I feel like it pulls on your energy a little bit. Where without you even realizing, just subconsciously, it takes some parts away from you that you get distracted or you don't really realize how much it's weighing you down. So that's one of the biggest things I feel like I learned from that one is get everybody out of there.
We're evacuating everybody,
Yep.
baby included.
Evacuation. So, well, tell me about Mav.
That is like literally like such a dreamy.
It was very
dreamy, like people's dream birth stories, Jess.
It was very dreamy. It
like
was
100%.
It was magical.
Like if someone says, oh, I want a home birth, I'd be like, you want Jess's dream home birth.
Yeah.
Because that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. And I'm just happy for it to be our first one, our first home birth, and for it to go like that. I was just like, well, man, that worked out really
You're
good.
like, I guess I could keep doing
I
this.
was like, I can do that again. So.
And you did.
And I did.
With Mav, I only have one story, so I have nothing really to compare it to, but I will say it was like for how sideways it went, it was still a really good birth.
Yeah.
I initially wanted a home birth, or I wanted one in a birthing center, but Ryan was not really on board at all for a home birth. He was like, nope, not the first one. Sorry, I don't want to do that. So I have to like compromise. And I was like, oh, I'll do a birth center. But the birth center that's in PCB was, I don't even know if it's still open anymore. I don't know. But at the time we were living in Santa Rosa Beach and you had to live within a certain radius.
Oh.
And we didn't. But we moved here, which is now closer to PCB. So I guess we could have, but it was when we moved to our house now, I had Mav within 2 weeks.
Oh,
so it was
wow.
like, so am I just going to meet somebody for the first time and just walk in and be like, I'm having a baby?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. So, yeah, so we had him at Sacred Heart, which also, if anyone's listening, like questioning about having a baby at Sacred Heart, so many people on Facebook have the worst negative experiences, which I have no idea why.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like they just had an unlucky experience, but I had the best experience at this hospital. I loved my OB. I loved all the other OBs that helped me out, all the nurses. The cafeteria lady was like my all-time favorite lady.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, so if anyone's listening, don't listen to other people's stories. Just do it for yourself. But I am so happy I did it at Sacred Heart. So that morning, it was a Thursday morning, and I was at the house unpacking boxes because at the time he came May 19th and I stopped working May 1st. So I was like, I'm going to take this month and just unpack the house while Ryan's still working and get the house situated. Because if I'm working doubles like I was, and Ryan's working, the house was never going to get unboxed by the time the baby showed up. Like we would be living out of boxes. It'd be worse. Ugh. It'd be horrible. So I was like, no, I'm just going to unbox everything. And so I was loving it. I was like nesting and doing all the things I wanted to do. And it just, this new house felt like this is exactly where we were supposed to be to have a baby. It was a Thursday morning and I woke up feeling fine. Something was off a little bit, but then I lost my mucus plug and I didn't know what that was. Graphic.
Yeah.
Very. So I went to my doctor and I showed up. So I walked in and I was like, hi, I don't know really what's going on. And I didn't know what the mucus plug was. I was like, I don't know what happened, but something came out of me.
Yeah.
And it's not nice. And so they checked me out. They're like, oh yeah, you definitely lost your mucus plug. Doesn't mean you're having a baby now. It just means things are starting to progress. You're moving towards labor. And I was like, okay, cool, wonderful. They're like, it can happen in the next few hours. It can happen in the next few days. It could be a week. Doesn't really know. Doesn't really give any sign, but you will be having a baby, at some point. I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, so just go home and please relax. Stop whatever you're doing and relax. And I was like, okay. So I did. I came home. I laid on the couch. Oh, I did not just come home straight away. I went and got some really good food.
There you go.
Obviously. Stopped at Evercrisp. I think that's what it's called. Yes. Got myself one of my favorite salads. Went home. Ate all of it, laid on the couch, watched movies, and slept for the rest of the afternoon. And then I woke up feeling motivated to do something because I was like, oh my God, look at the house. Yeah. So I started vacuuming very, very rigorously, like very hardcore. And it was actually where we are right now is where my water broke.
Oh my God.
I was out here like moving all the furniture around, putting the TV in places, moving stuff, vacuuming, and I was dancing in my bra and underwear, just totally Miss Doubtfire style. Yeah. And then out of nowhere, and mine was a little more aggressive than just a trickle, but it wasn't like all at once. It was like on the floor. And I was like, oh my God, did I just pee my pants?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, Ryan, I think I just peed my pants. Sorry. And I'm like running through the house. And then it happened again before I could even sit on the toilet. And I was like, what's happening? I was like, I can't stop peeing my pants. And Ryan's like, well, put a pad on or something. Don't just walk around.
Stop it.
Yeah, he goes, don't just walk around the house peeing. And I'm like, you're right. Okay.
He's like, do something about it.
And actually I didn't because I was like, I don't want to waste my pads or my underwear in case I have a baby. I can't waste them. And so
put a pad down.
It literally happened 3 or 4 times after that, like a decent amount of liquid. And Ryan's like, Kendall, stay in the bathroom or I don't stop peeing. And I was like, Ryan, I really don't think this is pee anymore.
He's
like
just
this
chasing you around with the mop.
Literally. He's like, I was like, Ryan, I really don't think this is pee anymore. I honestly think my water is breaking and it's just being weird. I don't know. He's like, yeah, I don't know about this either. He's like, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I guess I'll start getting ready. Should we pack some stuff? So we started packing stuff. Love Ryan. He's like, I gotta shave my head and take a shower. Like, okay.
Shave my head.
So he's like in there shaving his head, taking a shower. That evening, he did make me so random. I was like, well, throughout my whole pregnancy, I craved boiled potatoes.
Oh, that's
like
funny.
Yellow Yukon Gold potatoes. So good. He would make me while I was at work, he would boil me 4 or 5 of them. And when I got home, they were just perfectly sitting there waiting for me to chow down. Oh my God, they were so good. So that night he made me a boil, but he did a Cajun it would be a seafood boil minus the seafood.
Yeah.
So onions and garlic and potatoes and broccoli and corn. And he just boiled it all down with the Cajun seasoning. Oh my God, it was so good.
Yum.
Had that literally right before I was waiting for him to get ready to leave for the hospital. And then we left. And then when we got there, they check on you and they're like, oh yeah, your water for sure broke. However, you're not even close. Your cervix is tight as can be and rock hard. And I was like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so at the time I was really overwhelmed. And honestly, I feel like me and Ryan have different ideas on a lot of things, as in I'm a rule breaker. He's 100% a rule follower.
Yeah.
I probably would have been like, well, let's go back home. But they were like, we got to start you on Pitocin because since your water broke, you can get an infection because there's an opening now, but your cervix isn't ready. So we need to like jumpstart your birth, like your labor. And we're like, okay. So we're just like there signing papers. And I'm like, this is not really what I want to be doing, but whatever. Didn't really say much to anybody. And so they started me on Pitocin, got me hooked up, got me in a room. And I did tell them, I was like, hey, I want to be mobile. I don't want to be stuck to a bed. And they're like, well, we only have, which Sacred Heart, get it together. You have so much money going through that place. They said we only had one of the mobile like belly monitors. And I was like, well, go find it. Come on now. Go. Because I am going to be walking around.
Yeah.
And so they did. And they had to like charge batteries for it. And I was like, I'll wait patiently. So I got the mobile one. And I was walking around with my Pitocin. I was like going to the bathroom, sitting on the ball, talking to Ryan. And then like an hour goes by and then they like shoot it up more. It was a huge difference in my contractions. So my contractions I could handle, which of course Pitocin makes them like way worse, like really fast.
Because it like forces your body into it. Yeah.
I was fine. I could handle how painful the contractions were, but for some reason the Pitocin was affecting my legs, and every contraction my legs were seizing up, both of them, so I really couldn't even stand. I was like crying for the pain because throughout my whole pregnancy too I had restless legs, so it felt like that times like 1,000. My legs, it was awful, and I was like, Ryan, I can't even stand. He's like, well then sit, and I'm like, okay. Even when I was sitting, my legs were shooting pain. It was the weirdest thing ever. I was like, this really sucks so bad, to the point where I was like, I need an epidural. So I had the people come in. I got an epidural, which people are so scared of for the pain wise, which didn't feel a single thing. And I don't know if it's because I had so much pain in my legs at the time. I wasn't focused on it. But I was distracted by other things. But I had a really bomb anesthesiologist. He was like, all right, let's count 1, 2, 3. I'll let you know when it's in. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, just talking. And they're like, I'm like, is it in? They're like, oh yeah, you're ready to sit back and you're good. And I was like, oh my God, fantastic. Had nothing.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. And then of course it like fully relaxed my legs because I was like, I don't even care if I feel contractions right now, you guys. It's my legs that need help. I need help. So that helped a lot. And so we were admitted at, 7 or 8 o'clock on that Thursday night. And then I had a really, really, really slow progression from when I started dilating. It was just me and Ryan too, in the most big, beautiful labor and delivery room you could possibly think of. It was like the size of our house. It was huge. And it was really funny because he was like on the other side of the room, which was far, like laying on his bed. And he's like, what do you want to watch? I'm like,
just shouting.
I don't know. What kind of movies do we got? And like, it was so far. And I was like, can you like move your bed? But it was really funny. So I had a very, very, very long labor. It was like, I think everything included, I think it was like pushing 30 hours or 29.
Oh, wow.
It was very long.
That's long.
But I got to 4 or 5 centimeters and they didn't really want to check me very much, which I was totally okay with. I was like, okay, cool. But I do kind of want to know what am I looking like? And at like 5 centimeters, they said that my cervix started swelling, like I was having some type of reaction of some sort to, we don't know what.
Yeah.
So they had to give me like a very, very, very high dose of Benadryl, which in the past I have been in the hospital for severe allergic reactions. So when they say like a high dose of Benadryl, it's like they're going to shoot it through the IV and you're going to pass out for hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, okay, made me nervous because I was like, oh my God, what's it going to do to the baby? And I was like, all right, so I'm going to pass out. They're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, well, at least I'll get some rest.
I was going to say that sounds kind of nice.
Because honestly, even with the epidural, I still really wasn't like comfortable. I mean, I had this huge belly and they had to physically move me because you can't move.
Yeah.
And like you're involuntarily not being able to move. Like they have to like, they would have Ryan be like, all right, lift her this way and like lay on this side. And then I'd be like, okay, can I switch to the other side? I just imagine
them with like big forklifts.
They were.
Just like
it was like lifting a freaking elephant.
You're the tiniest thing in the world, but I just imagine like little forklift.
It was like
forklifting you around the hospital room.
They had the like puppy pad underneath me where it was like, they would move it really quick and I would like roll to the side.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And with epidural, if it's one of those medications where if it seeps to one side, you're not going to feel this side, but this side's going to start having more. So I started leaning back too much at one point where it started coming up to my chest. I was like, okay, everybody, put me back up. This is not okay. Gave me Benadryl. I went to sleep for, I don't even remember how long, but it was a very long time. And when I did wake up, it was hours later. I woke up and I was 9 centimeters. So they were like, okay, this is perfect. Let's, maybe start practice pushing and seeing what we're working with. And I'm like, okay, mind you, I cannot feel anything at this point because I am so numb to this epidural, which thankfully it works. Oh, and by the way, you're right. They don't let you eat, but they give you liquids.
Oh, that's
You
good.
can have all the liquids you want. I don't eat Jell-O because there's gelatin in it. I
Yeah.
don't drink coffee, which they brought you coffee.
That's very interesting.
Super interesting. So I was like, if you don't want me to poop, why are you bringing me coffee? Like, you want me to be like...
This is a no-no, guys.
It was interesting. They brought me... So every time that I said like, oh, can you bring me something? And I just wanted their veggie broth. Mind you, their veggie broth at the hospital was bomb. And I crave
it was 7-Eleven veggie broth.
I don't even care. I guess I'm going to 7-Eleven then. I would buy out all 7-Eleven's veggie broths. It was so good. I was like sucking them down left and right because they were so delicious. They would bring me veggie broth, tea, coffee, Jell-O, and then Luigi's ice pops, which were really yummy too.
Nice.
So they hooked me up and I was like, okay, I can take this if I'm not going to have a solid meal for over a day. At least I'll take some good veggie broth and popsicles. And yes, so we started pushing and I was like, guys, I don't know how to push.
Yeah.
First off, it's my first baby. You'd think like you're pushing like, I don't know. And Ryan, bless him, he's so kind. He was like on one side holding a foot. On the other side, this other lady was I had really amazing nurses. They were on 12-hour shifts. So I had, I think, 3. And they were all fantastic. And one did bring a mirror and she was like, do you want a mirror? I was like, yeah. So she's like, you can kind of see what you're trying to push at if you have a visual. And I'm like, whoa, that's a great visual. I guess I know where I'm pushing. But Ryan was like, baby, like he was like coaching me on how to push because I guess I was like really trying to push with my abs and my core instead of trying to push with like my ass. Yeah. Like they're like, try and take a poop. And I'm like, okay. I don't know how to do that right now because I can't feel my butt. Yeah. Like there's nothing down there. So they had to turn down the epidural.
I can't feel my butt.
I can't feel my butt. And it was great. After they started turning the epidural down, I could definitely really start those contractions. I was like, woo, I can feel those. Like this is hard. This is a lot. I tried and they were amazing. They let me do every single position possible. Hands and knees. I was on one side, on the other, squatting. I was anything you can think of, even on my back. And I was like, if this is the way I do it, this is the way I do it. But it doesn't seem the best for me, but whatever. And at one point, one of the best nurses I had, she was so great. She was even like, I know this is weird, but every time you push, can I kind of like open to help? Because it's like, because at one point his head, the very first time I was pushing, his head came down and you could see it. Sorry, graphic. They could like, open me up and you could see his little hairy head right there. And he just never moved from that spot. And my doctor finally came in and he was like assessing the situation. This was after 4 hours of pushing, which seemed like forever.
Yeah, that's a long time.
It was more mentally fucking with me than it was physically because I felt like I could keep trying. But my mind was like, I just want to meet this baby. This poor baby is sitting there not moving. Somebody help me. Can we twist him? What's going on? The doctor went in and he was like feeling around and he was like, well, he is right there. He's like, but honestly, if you've been pushing for 4 hours and he's still in the same spot, we're not really getting anywhere with where we need to be. And it was also discouraging because it's all a mind game in my mind about pushing and stuff. But every time someone else would have a baby or like a baby was born, over the loudspeaker, they would play this really nice music.
Oh my god.
It was actually really cute, but kind of strange, you know? But I could keep hearing all these other babies being born. And I'm like, why are they not playing my music? I want to be playing. You know what I mean?
I could see how that could be very frustrating.
It kind of like made me really upset. So I was just like,
it's like you're hearing everybody else cross the finish line.
And I'm
you're just
still
like,
just
come
like,
on.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to be the back of the pack, even though I could care less. That's what was running through my mind, all these things. So I was like, oh, this sucks. So he was like, honestly, Kendall, I'll be very honest with you. The way he's sitting right now, he was a face, like, right? I mean, his face was facing up.
Yeah.
So if you do push this baby out with a miracle of some sort, because he is twisted, his arms were also not in position at all, or his shoulders weren't. He's like, you're also going to like rip his face off. Like, not rip his face off, but you know, it's going to be bruised because it's going to be going up against your pelvic bone. Yeah. Like, it's going to be really hard on this baby. But he's like, honestly, I'm going to give you like 99% chance you're probably not going to be delivering this baby vaginally. It's not really going to work. He's like, or I can get you in and we can just get him out right now and we can just pretty much be done. Yeah. And I was like, and I like looked at Ryan and I didn't cry at all this whole 20-something hour period. I like looked at him and I was like, okay. And I was like, I'm going to cry. And he's like, me too.
Aww. Oh.
I may right now because I could just see his face. It like hurt my heart.
Yeah.
But he was so like, I know this is nothing that you wanted to do, but we're going to have to do it anyway. So like, let's just do it. And I'm like, okay. And at that point, I had no more epidural. Like it was like pretty much shut off and I was in so much pain. And at that point, I was like screaming with every contraction. And I was in the very first. So it's a very small hospital. They only had like, I think 9 or 10 delivery rooms. And I was in the very first one. So every time you could hear the door open, which was the main entrance to the birthing center. So you could hear everybody. And I was like, I'm probably scaring all these people by screaming and crying. And like,
welcome to the birthing area.
yeah, like literally. And I'm like, all right, let's just do the C-section. Like, let's go for it. And he's like, great. And honestly, because I was in so much pain and I think I was just being like delirious at that point, that he let me cut. There was other women getting prepped and ready to go in to have a C-section. He stopped all of them and like,
You
put
cut
me in.
the line.
I did. He made me cut the line and I loved it. I know. I was like, thank you so much. I just can't do this anymore.
Aww.
So yeah, he wheeled me in and
he's like, we got a screamer, guys.
Yeah,
let's
literally.
get her through this. We'll get you in just a minute.
and I'm not even embarrassed, but I was like, I'll scream the whole way. I do not care. Everyone get out of the way.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah. And it is very scary rolling into an operating room, which it's like all metal and cold feeling. It's
sterile
not
and
so
like,
sterile, you know, like it's not the best feeling.
There is no candles and music.
No, damn it.
Not at all.
And I guess I could have asked for music, but whatever. Because I met my mom, my mom's last child, her 5th one was a C-section and she had music playing.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, I know I could because that was almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I had to be wheeled in without Ryan. Ryan had to sign paperwork, and then they gave him like his cute little outfit to wear, which LOL, yes. They gave him
little cap.
a net for his head.
Oh my gosh.
There's no hair, but he has
For
the
his
biggest
non-hair.
beard. Yeah.
They didn't give him one for his beard? No. Oh my gosh.
Which we couldn't stop laughing about.
Good thing you shaved your head, babe.
I know, right? I know. That's what I said. I'm like, you don't even need that. You just shaved your head. And so Ryan actually walked in late. Like he should have already been sitting next to me ready to rock and roll. He walked in as my doctor's cutting me open.
Oh my gosh.
And I know Ryan, he's like with his phone, and you're not supposed to in an operating room. And then we signed like the whole thing about it. But Ryan's over there taking photos.
Oh my gosh,
which
I love it.
I did see 1 or 2, which I should probably go ask to now look at it. He's like, Kendall, I have never, ever seen the insides of a body before like that. He's like,
pretty intense.
It is so intense. He's like, I've seen your small intestine, your large intestine, your stomach, this, that, and the other. He's like, I've seen it all. He's like, they were like clamped back and everything. He's like, holy shit, that was crazy. And he's like, I wanted to video it. And I'm like, well, good thing you didn't, because I don't know if we'd be able to rewatch it. Like, how icky. Anyway, so he's sitting next to me, and it takes from like start to finish 30 minutes. He's like, you will have a baby the second you get into that room and out in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's pretty quick. Okay. And it felt quicker than that, actually. He's like, over the screen, he's like, thank God you didn't have this baby vaginally, because you would have never gotten him out. He was so twisted up into your ribs, like holding on for dear life, like he was not coming out. And he's like, you're going to feel pressure. And it's crazy because I had all my epidural still, and I'm pretty sure they gave me something else. I couldn't feel a single thing. He's like, you will feel pressure though. And I screamed so loud because it was so much pressure. But the second they like pushed down, he had to push my ribs, almost break my ribs to get him out. And they pulled him out, and it was the most relief I've ever felt in my life.
Oh my gosh.
But there he is screaming, crying. And Ryan, of course, got to see that he had big balls and a weenie, that we had a boy. And it was so exciting, you know? Like,
you guys didn't find out. Yeah.
So Ryan was like, obviously not the first one because the doctors and not the nurses, but Ryan got to be like, oh my God. And they were like, Dad, what is it? And they're like, oh my God, it's a boy. We're like, oh yeah, it's so amazing. So great. Screaming. That was probably like the best noise you can ever hear.
Yeah.
Ever, is like the first time your baby cries. The best. And then I'm just like laying there helpless. Dad, come over here. Like, he got to do it all, which was so amazing. Got to do the footprint, got to cut the cord, clean him up, suck his little nose in his throat. And of course, Ryan's taking photos of all of that too.
Oh my gosh.
And he's taking photos of me laying over there and taking it was great. I'm like, this is fantastic. And then of course they got to bring Mav over and lay him on me while I'm still like getting stitched up and stuff. And so get this. While you're laying there and they're putting your insides back to where they're supposed to be, you know, it's like you're in the air, open air. They're also putting air back into your body.
Yeah.
Which trapped gas is like the worst after a C-section. But mind you, I also have no control of my body, what's going on right now. And they were putting so much like air. I was farting so
Before they were even done?
No, while they were like stitching me
Yeah.
up and doing things, like I could feel myself farting.
Oh, my
And you
gosh.
could hear it. And it was like the funniest thing in the world. And I'm like looking at Ryan with. I'm looking at Ryan, I go, and I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, Ryan, I can't stop farting. He goes, Kendall, everyone's listening. I'm like, I don't care.
Everyone's listening.
I'm like, right. I couldn't
You're
stop
like,
laughing.
yeah, everyone's
I was
listening
like,
to me farting.
I am uncontrollably farting right now. And it is the funniest thing ever. And he goes, Kendall, you're anesthesiologist. Because and at the point, I completely forgot, mind you, my head is in the anesthesiologist's lap. Like he's sitting there, like watching all of like,
All your
my vitals and
stuff.
everything. And he was so funny. He was cracking up. He was like, it's okay. And I'm like, I'm sorry. This is so funny.
I love that.
It was hysterical. But yeah, I like got to hold Matt for literally like a few seconds, which was very sad. But then honestly, they also gave me morphine.
Yeah.
And I had to go back into the room. And that's when they finally brought Mav in. And I got to like, love on him and be all sweet. And they were like, girl, he's ready to suck.
Yeah,
He's ready
he's
to
hungry.
eat. Let's do this. And so, of course, he was like the most natural breastfeeding baby ever, and it was fantastic. But yeah, and it was just great. And then I had to stay there for quite a while. It was like 4 or 5 days after the C-section. It was a great experience, and everybody wanted to come see our baby because they were like, he's the prettiest little baby. And all my nurses and all the other doctors that were helping, they wanted to know what we had.
Yeah.
They're like, what did we have? And I'm like, it's a boy. It's
Oh,
great.
that's sweet.
Yeah, it was really fun. And honestly, they fed me like a freaking dog in there. Just kept bringing me food, and it was fantastic. And they literally made anything I wanted because I was vegan. They're like, well, your celebratory dinner is either like a fish entree, some steak, or like, something else. I'm like, can I just have like a baked potato and like some stir fry vegetables? They're like, oh my God, of course. And they brought me like, I'm not kidding, a mountain of
They're
vegetables.
like, oh my gosh, we got to feed this girl
And,
something.
like,
She's not eating anything.
and 3 baked potatoes. And like every morning I would order, I just want cut up vegetables. No, I wanted fruit. And they would give me the whole platter, like the whole
my
platter.
gosh,
It would
I
last me
love
all day
it.
long. It was fantastic. So yeah,
That's
they treated me so
wonderful.
lovely. It was such a great experience. It was so nice. My mom, I did actually want my mom there for the birth, which I don't think she really wanted to be there for the birth, but she couldn't make it anyway because they're in California. So
Yeah.
when I told them, I was like, guys, I think I'm going to have a baby. And it was late at night. California, there's not a straight shot here.
Yeah.
So they did miss it, which was fine because you're right. It was lovely, just me and Ryan being
Yeah.
there. Like it was very special to us. They got to stay with us for the next whatever, but it was great.
And they're wonderful, so that's great.
Yeah. So it was wonderful.
I love that. That's a lot. You had a lot going on.
I did.
And
Now
that was
that
a long one.
it was, now that I'm like saying it out loud, because I haven't really talked about it in 2 years,
Yeah.
I guess, but that was a lot. But it didn't seem like a lot at the time.
It's such a roller coaster of emotions too.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things. Having babies, it's like women do this all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but you never know how it's going to go, and you never know the ups and downs, and you never know like the mental exhaustion or the weird things that your body's going to do,
Yeah.
and how you're going to respond to that, because you never really know. The mental side of birth, I feel, is such an interesting topic.
It really is,
So-
honestly, because it's your mental game's already off because your hormones are,
Yeah.
God knows where they are right now. Like they're all over the place.
Well, and the anticipation, and then if it's your first baby,
It's already huge.
Or then
Yeah.
if it's your second baby and it's completely different
Yeah.
than your first baby, you never know what's going to happen. So I feel like no one story is the same. There's
Yeah.
similarities in a lot of people, but I feel like all of them are different.
Yeah.
And it's all just like your own little magical journey.
It is. It is such a magical little
It's
journey.
such a fun end.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have time to share the other two guys.
I was going to say, I know. Let's do a part
we'll
2.
have to do a part 2 on that one. I have too many kids.
I know, and I love it, and I can't wait to hear about the
And
boys.
the other 2 are good.
Oh, and they're boys, so it'll be
There's some
totally
ups
opposite.
and downs
I
on the
can't
other
wait.
2. So, yes, there's variety in all of them. So, what have you been cooking this week?
This week I've been doing a lot of rice dishes. I've been like fully obsessed with rice. I'm doing still a lot of curries. I'm just fully engulfed in like curry world right now. But the other day I made these bags of Brussels sprouts. They're like spicy maple Brussels
Oh, yeah.
sprouts, or like the French green beans, like the spicy carrots. They're like all these different ones that are super easy to make and it takes 10 minutes. I got the Brussels sprout one, air fried them. delicious.
Yum.
Oh my
There's
God.
nothing like air fried Brussels sprouts.
Oh, they're like
It's like
so
the only way you
crispy.
should cook them.
100%. That should literally be the only way people cook Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Air fried them, got them all nice and juicy with the spicy maple dressing that they give. I put it on some rice. I cooked up some tofu, and then I made this delicious, like, it was almost like a fake ranch almost. Like, it had dill and onion and garlic, a little bit of paprika, a little bit of cayenne for some spice, but from cashews and some lemon and agave.
Yum.
It was so good. That sauce was, I've been eating that.
Yummy.
It was really good.
Yeah, this week I text my kids and I said, everybody pick a meal that you want to have for dinner because I'm tired of deciding. If you need options, I printed out my list that Susie helped me create from
Love
her.
it.
I used her master list layout and did my own master list so I can have ideas, which I haven't used it a ton, but honestly, it's been so helpful just to be like, oh yeah, I can make that. But I'm like, check the master list on the fridge if you need ideas. But I don't think anybody even looked. They all gave me completely different ideas. So the one that I did was a copycat of an Olive Garden soup called Soup Toscano that's a creamy milk based with sausage and kale and potatoes. Sometimes we do it with gnocchi, but my daughter specifically requested that we do it with potatoes. And I love it because it's like the one meal I can sneak kale into.
That is true. And people will keep eating it.
And it's literally like I can use a whole head of kale in that and they'll still eat it. It's like the one thing that they're not picking out of the meal. So yeah, I did that and it was freaking delicious.
Yum.
It was so good. Although I was like, I'm going to use my Instant Pot to cook the potatoes so I don't have to bake them or throw them in the microwave. But I did not reference anything on how much time to do. And I obliterated them. They
were dust?
They were exploded in half.
Oh my God, Jess.
And so then when I went to cut them up, they were falling apart. And I was just like,
So you made mashed potatoes.
Chop, and then I threw them in the soup. And then because they were so obliterated, a lot of them disintegrated. And the soup was very nice and thick.
I'm sure it was and it probably made it a little more creamier too.
It was definitely creamy. It was definitely thick. The next day it was solid. And my daughter was like, why is this soup so solid? There's not even any broth in it. I was like, listen, it's the potatoes' fault. It's my fault because I didn't do any reference numbers for my Instant Pot.
That's so funny.
Note to the listeners, it doesn't take 30 minutes to cook potatoes in the Instant Pot.
No.
I think it should have been like 7.
Probably. I was going to say 8.
I
That's funny.
Tripled the time. Anyways, doesn't matter. The soup was delicious. That's
Hell
all
yeah.
that matters. So
Now
yeah,
I want
it was
Olive
really
Garden.
good.
That sounds so
Oh,
good.
so yummy. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our crazy birth stories.
Stay tuned for part 2 because there's 2 more babies.
No, there's 2 more babies coming your way. And if you guys have any fun birth stories, we would love to hear them.
Yeah.
Email us, call in, leave us a voicemail. I don't know where you can do that, but shoot, give us... Hey, send us an email. We'll give you our number.
Bring it on. And then you can leave a voicemail. Mine's like 97% full, so maybe not my box.
Yeah,
but.
yeah, I'll give you my number because my box is not full. Kendall, clean out your voicemail.
I know, it's so stupid.
Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate you.
Have a beautiful day.
Yes, we're rainy today, but we're going to suck it up and push on.
Yes, we are. Rainy day schedule.
Have a fabulous week, Kendall.
You too, girly. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
Is that goodbye?
That's goodbye. Or ciao. That's the easier one.
Ciao.
But arrivederci is so much more fun.
It is so much sexier.
I love it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And that, party people, wraps up another delightful episode of Parties to Playdates.
We hope you're leaving with a smile, a story, and maybe a tip or two.
Remember, life's journey is better shared with a friend.
And we're so grateful to be part of yours.
If you enjoyed today's chat, don't forget to rate and subscribe to our show.
Your support keeps our community growing and our stories flowing. We want to hear from you. Please send us your thoughts, ideas, and questions to partiestoplaydates@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Parties to Playdates.
Until next time, keep embracing the chaos and finding the joy.
Take care and stay connected, party people.
Bye for now, and don't forget to laugh a little extra today.
Bye.